Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right, what's up? Thanks for watching Top Class Tutorials. In this video, I wanted to show how I went about mixing a R&B song called "Throw It Away" by Myles Awai. So yeah, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And let's go ahead and get started. So I think I have everything set up here. So I have the session loaded up, and I have the original mix that I want to play for you first. And this is the mix that was pretty much the first mix. He came over here and recorded the song at my studio, and this is how it sounded after we were done tracking everything. The whole process maybe took about 2-3 hours of tracking vocals and background vocals. In this session, I'm only going to be talking about the lead vocal and not as much the background vocals. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and play the first mix that was done after the session.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. 'Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Such a risk, but I'm gonna take a chance. How it feels to have my heart in your hands. Gotta learn how to let someone take hold. It takes time, gotta trust who's in control. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. I feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. So how you gonna throw it away? How you make it hard to explain? How you gonna throw it away? How you gonna throw it away? Say my love is not the same, but how you gonna throw it away? Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. You tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. 'Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down.
Okay, cool. So again, that was the first mix after we were done tracking everything, and after about 1 or 2 revisions, we got to this mix. Now, before I play it, I will say that it has everything in there, the lead vocals and the background vocals, and I won't be talking about the background vocals today, but just wanted to play everything together as a whole so you could hear it. So this is the final mix.
I don't mean to get out of place. Don't you see that look on my face? To think I let this go to waste. Thought you had me say we reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. tug and war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Such a risk, but I'm gonna take a chance. How it feels to have my heart in your hands. Gotta.
All right, cool. So I'm not going to play the whole song, but you get the idea. So let me go ahead and mute this, and I'll start breaking this track down. Start with the beat because that's where I started when I originally got the song. Let's just make everything the same size. So I'm going to select everything and holding down Option Shift and then clicking right here or somewhere on this little ruler. Select medium. Okay. And so with pretty much all of my beats, I start with the drums. So it started with the kick, and all I have on here is a EQ and a saturation filter set to overdrive, and it's actually not even really doing anything. It's probably just adding a little resonance, or maybe I had planned on using it for something and just never did. So anywho, this doesn't have any saturation, but it has an EQ on it. And so let's go ahead and just mute these, and I'll play the kick. So you can hear the kick kind of has a like a hi-hat or some type of cymbal or something in it. I didn't want to take that out, so typically when I'm doing my EQ on my kicks, I take out a lot of this, but because that would have removed the hi-hat. I do have this one EQ move that I think tried to make here to kind of take that hi-hat out a little bit. But ultimately, I just decided that that didn't work. And so I did my typical kind of boost around 40 hertz and dip everything around like 250, roll off everything below 20 hertz. Just kind of smooth it out. So here is before. And now here's after. So it just kind of tightened and rounded off the kick a little bit. Again, this isn't doing anything, so if I bypass it, you probably won't even hear a difference. You know, what's interesting is actually bringing out a little bit more of the hi-hat, I think. I think it has a little resonance peak kind of going on here. It's probably a mistake, but it actually kind of works. Next thing is going to be the snare. And I pretty much left this alone. I have some side chains going on here, but I actually didn't use them for this mix. I didn't really need to. So I'll go ahead and play the snare by itself. So nothing on that. There is some stuff going on the hi-hat, so I'll show you that. So I have reverb on here, and then I also have a time adjuster, and then I have that the right side set to 171 samples. Ugh. Sorry, y'all. It's been a long day, long night the day before, so I'm kind of a little beat. But I wanted to get this tutorial in, so I'm just yawning a lot. But I use the time adjuster fairly often. I do this to try to help get separation and try to create a more depth in creating stereo field. It kind of makes sounds that sound mono sound stereo by separating them like this and having one kind of arrive earlier than the other. In this case, the right side is 171 samples off from the left. And it really kind of makes it sound cool. So I also have a reverb going on here, so I'll play it with no effects. So it's kind of like a clock. And so to kind of give that some depth and some space, I added some reverb. Here's before. And here's after. So a little bit of a gain reduction, and also kind of puts it kind of in the back a little bit more. And then the other thing that I have on here is this time adjuster. So I muted the reverb so you can hear just the effect of the time adjuster. So here's before. And here's after. Before. After. Pretty cool, right? And then when you add the reverb to that, you get this. So I thought it sounded pretty cool. Just the time adjuster by itself just kind of added a little hype to it. Then some of these other tracks, I didn't do too much processing. I have a cymbal rise, and then a crash. So I will play all the drums together so you can hear that. So that is the drum kit that I had. And what I decided to make the like the main lead instrument was this guitar, because it plays throughout the whole song and it really felt like it was the lead instrument. There's some vocal stuff that there was in here, but I ultimately decided I didn't want it in there. It sounded better without it, but I'll talk about that later. So here is the guitar, and basically it's the same melody, just one of these tracks it's a dry guitar, and the other one is a guitar that has some reverb on it. So I'll play it from the beginning so you hear all of it. So you hear this green track right here. It has some reverb on it, and the blue one is pretty dry and basic. And the producer did that to kind of create some contrast. So kudos to him. I don't know who produced this beat, by the way. Maybe once I find out, I'll put it in the comments later on. But the producer did a good job there, creating some contrast with the dry guitar and the wet guitar, or the one with reverb. And so my approach to this was to put a EQ to tame some of the highs and to kind of cut some of the low mids and the upper mids. I didn't really want those frequencies to be clashing with the vocal, and I think they're even side chained. Yeah, so I have these side chained to the lead vocal, so these frequencies only duck when the lead vocal is actually playing. So I don't have the lead vocal playing now, but what I can do is solo out just the lead vocal so you can kind of see what's that's doing. All right, cool. So I'll go back to this guitar. And let me go ahead and do a before and after. So I'll go ahead and unbypass those. I'll mute the vocals for a second. And then I'll play basically right here where the wet guitar is, because that's where the effects kind of start, essentially. So that's before the EQ, and now here's after the EQ. And that was after, and it's very subtle. You can't really even hear it, and you see it's kind of, these frequencies are ducking in kind of a weird way. Now, when I unmute the vocals, you'll see what's actually kind of happening here, and you'll hear it. So here's before.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending.
And now here is after.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're
So what's happening is the lead vocal is ducking out this frequency. And the plugin I'm using is FabFilter Pro Q. You can set it up to where it'll give you this kind of red bar and let you know frequencies that are overlapping and causing masking issues. And so what's happening here is this guitar and the lead vocal are clashing a lot in this frequency. And so if I had to choose which one is going to be the winner, I'm going to make the vocal the winner every single time against any other instrument, minus a couple occasions where, another instrument might, be the lead for a second or two. So anywho, I got this EQ doing a duck, or doing a reduction on these frequencies, rolling off a lot of the low end. I don't need it. And then just a static roll off of the highs. And the next thing I have on here is Max Volume 2. I talked about this in my last video, and I really like this plugin now. Um, it just really accomplishes what I want to do sometimes in a very simple and CPU friendly way. I was using uh, Ozone Dynamics to do upward compression, but this plugin does a great job. Also, Oxford Inflator does a good job, but this one just adds a character to it that I really like. It's really nice. Um, and so I'll play before and then I'll play after so you can hear what this is doing.
We reached the ceiling. Uh,
And here is after. Really listen to how the reverb of the guitar pops out more after the end of the notes when I have this plugin on. And so what's happening is when the guitar is playing, it's bringing the volume down to bring it down to the level that I want to hear it. And then after those notes are finished, it's kind of pushing the volume up a little bit to bring that reverb and that space out a little bit more. And that's really nice. I love using that on um, almost everything now: drums, guitar, bass. I love this plugin. It's great, simple, fast, effective, CPU friendly, super dope plugin. I really like it. Um, so I had the drums and the guitar kind of squared away and kind of did a basic mix on that, and this is what I came up with. And that sounded good to me. And then when I started working on it, I started adding the vocals next. Um, because really I wanted the vocal, the guitar, and the drums to really be like the main components, and then everything else kind of fits around that. With a lot of like hip hop and like trap stuff, it's kind of like kick and 808, snare, and then vocals. Like there's like the lead melody is kind of even, underneath the vocals, but with this, like the bass wasn't as strong of a lead character in this mix, I should say. So anywho, um, once I had that kind of basic beat going, I wanted to do kind of the harmony. Oh, that's fine. It won't play. Okay, cool. So let's mute this stuff. And I'm going to mute the vocal effects too, just for right now. I'll bring those back in later. I really focused on just the lead vocal. So with the lead vocal, I did my typical kind of processing. I went through and found any areas that had a lot of sibilance, and I decreased the volume on those manually using automation or gain staging, or doing clip gain. I also took out any unnecessary audio. So gaps between phrases or sections where there's just nothing or just background noise or studio noise. I took that out. I don't want any of that in there. I also tried to uh, go in and control the breaths a little bit. I'll go in and manually turn the breaths down. Sometimes I'll take the breaths completely out. With this song, because it's R&B, I wanted to leave a lot of the breaths in so that it sounded like one continuous performance versus having it be this super tight performance. I wanted it to feel kind of live, but not live in the sense of like it sounds like it's coming off of a stage, but I didn't want it to sound over processed. So I left a lot of breaths in on this one. Um, so kind of general house cleaning, just making sure the vocal doesn't have any pops or clicks, breaths, de-essing, fades on the beginning and ends. Just kind of typical house cleaning stuff is what I like to call it. And that is the worst part about mixing, honestly, just getting all the editing done. But it's super important. Uh, the next thing I did was tuning. Tuning. What I will do is on a couple of these tracks, I need to fine tune them, figure out what I want to do. Um, on make it active. On the tracks, I have auto tune and a de-esser. I also have like a limiter plugin, but primarily what I use was the auto tune plugin. And what I'll do is, if there's notes that I don't like how the auto tune is correcting it, I will put it onto a different track. Excuse me. I'll put it onto a different track, and then I'll adjust the auto tune settings to where it works for the vocal and it sounds right. And then I'll print those settings into that audio file and then move it back to the original track. And usually, as long as I manually change it with auto tune in some form or way and print the audio file, then the automatic auto tune settings see it as being correct and don't adjust it in a bad way, or it doesn't change it at all sometimes. Typically, what I will do is whatever my lead vocal is on, I will have the auto tune set to a very, very light setting unless it's intentional and they want that auto tune sound. And then I'm going for more of an auto tune T-Pain style effect. But with this song R&B, I wanted it to sound natural, so my retune speed was really slow. I want to say if you're using auto tune Pro, any of the recent versions like 9 or 10, I had the retune speed probably at around 12 o'clock. I don't know what number it is. I go by kind of just looks and just sound, but around 12 o'clock, so straight up. My flex pitch or flex tune or whatever was all the way at like 100. Humanized was at 100. Um, and it really gave it like a natural sound. I think even instead of setting it as a major or minor key, I set it as chromatic. So that way it would even be um, less picky about notes that were sung, and I could manually decide which notes needed to be changed. So once I had my auto tune settings good, I printed that and on my de-esser. I leave all the plugins on the track, but I just make them inactive, and then I store them in alternate playlists. Um, so, for example, we have this, which is the original vocal comp. Um, that would have been like the original from the session after tracking with no editing. And then we have this one right here, which is an actual vocal comp where I went through some of these different takes that we did to find the best performance possible. If you don't use playlists, it's super dope. these days I don't really use playlists except for minor changes. Um, Typically when I record, the performance is pretty tight and solid. Um, if there are like bad or wrong notes, then I do go in and try to fix them using playlists. But I do kind of minor playlist comp editing these days. My artists are pretty on point. I try to get them to be on point. Um, so I go through the playlists and I will duplicate and make new playlists so that I don't lose anything and I can always go back. Um, and never lose anything, and it saves on CPU power. So I will play the lead vocals now with no effects or anything like that.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down.
Oh, sorry about that. I was trying to cut it before the explicit word. Maybe I should have cleaned this session up before I did that. But anywho, so got the lead vocal right here. It's the purple track, or the lime green track. And I got that being routed to my lead vocal bus here. I like to do subgroups to get my routing together. There's a EQ on here that is doing a substantial amount of EQ. When he recorded this, he was, I guess, sick. He sounded nasally. So I had to clean it up a lot. He was very close to the mic and kind of like shy. He wasn't really open, so he has got a lot of bass and boominess in his voice. So I did a lot of work on the low end to try to clean that up. A lot of roll off, a lot of boost on the top end, like almost 10 dB, around 2K. I'm boosting that presence, and then I'm removing around 1.2K for kind of some of that kind of frequency I just didn't like. I will mute everything so you can hear what this lead vocal sounds like by itself. So I'll mute the instrumental, and now we're going to listen to just the lead vocal by itself.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war.
So that's the vocal without any EQ, and now here's the vocal with EQ.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me.
So I don't know if you noticed or heard, but I kind of switched the EQ on and off while I was playing it back. So you probably heard the original is kind of the original is kind of muffly, kind of rumbly, and with the EQ, it kind of gets a little bit brighter, a little bit more open, less nasally. So again, I'm gonna play it with the EQ off, and then I'll switch it on and off as I'm playing the lead vocal.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck.
So it opens it up, makes it sound a little bit brighter. I usually do EQ before I do compression or anything, just because I want to have an idea of the tone of where the vocal is going to go before I start doing processing. Next, I followed up with a saturator plugin. It's one of my favorite saturation plugins, mainly because what I can do is create a enveloper that's set to follow the transients of the incoming signal, and it will essentially boost the saturation amount based off how much of the transient is coming through. So I'll demonstrate that. I'll play the lead vocal. Here is without saturation, and I'll switch it on about halfway through.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up.
So it's subtle. I'm using the subtle saturation setting, but if you can kind of see, the vocal is kind of causing this level to kind of pump and move a little bit. Just adding some of that harmonic warmth to the signal. And then I have a multi-band compressor, or no, I'm sorry. I thought this was a multi-band. This is actually the Fairchild 670 compressor, which I'm still going to complain about this every time I make a video because it drives me insane. But it says that it has a lateral vertical mode that should separate the left and the right channel. However, I've found that it operates in stereo mode no matter how I try to use this. So maybe I'm using it wrong or whatever. Maybe what I have to do is adjust this balance dial right here or something along those lines. I'm not really sure. It's a little funky. But anywho, I have the Fairchild compressor on here, and it's probably just doing a little light compression just to kind of round everything off. I will definitely say it's probably doing more later on in the song versus early, because in the verse, or the first verse, it's pretty chill, mellow, laid back. Shouldn't be doing too much, but I'll play the first verse so you can kind of see what this compressor is doing.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be.
So really, it's not even really moving now. When I get later on into these bigger sections where I have a couple vocals kind of playing kind of back to back, it might do a little bit more. So I'm going to play the last chorus so you can hear and see how this compressor is working.
Say my love is not the same, but how you gonna throw it away? How you gonna? Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down.
So you saw there on that last chorus, it was doing a little bit more pumping, and that's just to kind of just smooth it out. I do a lot of my dynamics and volume adjustments with my clip gain, and also volume automation. You can kind of see here I have some volume automation already, where just certain phrases I'm boosting, certain words I'm boosting, certain things I'm cutting. It's usually boosting more than cutting. After I'm done gain staging and doing clip gain, but point is, I don't really use compressors to get the volume that I want out of a lead vocal, at least. I use them definitely more for just on the parts that are going to be louder than any of the other parts. I just want it to barely kind of touch that just to round it off. That way it's controlling that vocal and it's not getting out of hand later on down in my chain. And I can do some really nice, mastering and mixing down to the mix bus later. So that's my lead vocal bus. And then I also have a parallel vocal compression that is a parallel send that I am sending directly from my lead vocal bus. That way it will have my EQ and saturation, and a little bit of this compression already built into the signal going to it. But then I'm doing a lot more with this one. With this one, I'm just cranking it and just seeing how it sounds. So what I will do is play it, and I'm probably going to have to mute the lead vocal so you can hear what this parallel compression actually sounds like. And I'll do some volume adjustments as well. So let's just boost this area up so you can hear it.
The same, but how you gonna throw it away? How you gonna? Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down.
So you'll see on the meter here, it's doing a lot more compression and it's got a lot slower of a release. Also a lot slower of an attack. So it's acting kind of like a bus compressor here, and it's just really just compressing it a lot to kind of help bring it in to the lead vocal. So I turned it up just so you could hear what that compressor is doing. I'll delete the automation so you can hear the lead vocal without the. Oh, one more thing that's on the parallel vocal compression bus is I have a um, radiator, which is just adding just harmonics, essentially adding some warmth. I got the treble boosted up, and I have a large amount of the input turned up, output to compensate mix set at about 100%. So I will play just the parallel vocal compression track so you can hear this radiator before and after. So here is before.
Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love I wanna drown, I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me. Don't fuck me.
So just adding some nice little harmonics up into the top end just to kind of help bring that vocal out a little bit more. And what I usually do is I ride the automation of this vocal parallel vocal compression track. Basically, I'll just select like the hook section and boost it up like 1 or 2 dBs. And this section or this song, I didn't actually do that. I just kind of left it kind of static, except for on the outro. I wanted the outro to feel less in your face. Probably the intro I should do the same, but I didn't. Anywho, I'll play the verse without the parallel vocal compression track, and then I'll bring it in about halfway through, or I'll bypass it on and off as it's playing.
Ceiling, I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach.
So it's just adding some more fullness to the vocal, putting it a little bit more up front. I often don't use parallel vocal compression anymore. It just doesn't work for the tracks that I produce these days. I guess it just doesn't sound good to me. Um, have used it in the past on a couple tracks and I have enjoyed it, but not a big fan these days. So that is the lead vocal and kind of how I went about processing that. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is my vocal effects that I added to the lead vocal. So I will mute these for a second, and then I will unmute my vocal effects so I can talk about my reverb that I have on here. So this is Symphony 3D. It's from Isotope, but it's really an exponential audio plugin that Isotope acquired. Um, that company I think went out of business, so a lot of their plugins they don't even uh, like sell them or anything anymore. They really just focus on selling like Neoverb and the other stuff. But anywho, this plugin is pretty cool. I liked using it. This is the 3D version, so it can give you like multiple outputs for doing surround sound stuff and Dolby Atmos and all that. So I'll play the lead vocal without any reverb and then I'll add it to it. So here is the processed lead vocal with no reverb.
The ceiling, I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending.
And now here is the vocal with reverb.
The ceiling, I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me, you're the necessity, full court press on me.
It's a little loud now that I'm listening to it. I kind of want to make that change, but that's what I had just as the main reverb. And it was cool, but I just wanted the reverb to be bigger, but just not in every single part, right? So, like, the problem with reverbs is when you want a really big, lush reverb, you add it to the vocal, but then it starts to wash out your vocal and it starts to become almost inaudible a little bit. And so then you're given the task of sidechaining your reverb with a compressor to duck every time the lead vocal comes in. But that can even sometimes sound a little unnatural and doesn't feel quite like how I want my reverb to sit. And so, what I've found really, really works is to find just a reverb that essentially works and does the job, because almost every single reverb is going to essentially kind of sound the same, whether hall, plate, or room, or some of them are going to be a little bit different. But just finding a reverb that really kind of works, and using that just to get the emotion and the feel of the song. And then what I will do is these tracks are inactive because it took up a lot of CPU power to do all of this processing that I was doing. but I'll make these tracks bigger so it'll be easier to just kind of see what I did. So I essentially just created whole new tracks with plugins on them. I'll just make this one active. So I took the track and I just took little bits and pieces of the lead vocal and copied it down. So all these little audio clips that you see right here are just little snippets of the lead vocal that I copied down. Um, I'll even play that just so you can hear what I'm talking about, and I'll disable the effects on the track. So this is all this stuff right here without any effects.
Lin, Lin, and then
Sounds really weird and unmusical, right? Especially if I play it with the lead vocal together.
we reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning.
So what I did was add auto tune to it, which is just I copied the settings from the lead vocal just to, make sure everything was in the same key when I was affecting it. And then I added the Symphony 3D plugin to make it sound more spacey and more out there. And the end result was it sounded like this now. So really, really big reverb. So to kind of tame it, I added a EQ and just really kind of took out a lot of the bassy stuff. I took out around 6K because that was kind of interfering with kind of some of the other frequencies. And I boosted the top end around 30K just to kind of give it a little more air, a little more airiness. And this is what it came out. And then the last thing was I knew that some of these vocal cuts were not going to be the same volume, and it would cause the reverb to essentially fluctuate in volume. And so I put a compressor on here to round out all of those little effects. And so now when you pair that with the original lead vocal, you get something that sounds like this.
Reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from.
Now this is cranked up really loud so you can hear it. But once I did that, and I did this with like multiple sections, like you can see all these little areas that I took bits and pieces of to create these cool little effects. So once I had the effects that I liked and they sounded good, I committed them to do a little bit more processing. And just kind of mess around with them a little bit more. So these are the printed tracks. I'll make these smaller. I'll make that easier for me. And so we have these are all the bounced out audio clips of all the effects that I essentially created now. This is the reverb, and it's got another pro compressor on here, so I did a little more compression after the fact, just to tighten it up even more.
You reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from.
You can barely hear it there because it's turned down, but I'll mute the lead vocal reverb except for the room reverb, so you can really hear how that reverb throw is. And by the way, the name of this is called a reverb throw. There's also delay throws that you do, which I'll show here in a second. But this is a reverb throw essentially, where I'm creating a throw of vocals. Or I'm throwing the vocals to the reverb just to put accents on certain parts and sections, and it really works. It sounds great. So here is the lead vocal without the main reverb, but only with these little reverb throws. And check out how much space it gives this lead vocal. It's crazy.
You reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause
Hold on, let me try that again. I needed to solo it out one more time.
you reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me, you're the necessity for.
So you hear how much space that gives that vocal, and then when you pair it with the original lead vocal, or just the other reverb, just in general, it sounds like this.
You reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending.
So it feels like those two reverbs are kind of working together. When the vocal is being sung, you hear the reverb on the lead vocal, and it's not too much. It just puts the reverb, or it just puts the lead vocal in that space. But then when those reverb throws kick in, it makes you feel like that reverb is in a huge space in between the sections. And you have to be kind of crafty with where you place these in the volume, because some of them can get a little bit out of hand and it sounds unnatural, and it becomes almost too easy to spot. And I like these effects to be very subtle. That way it's always kind of tickling the listener's ears. Then I got some other effects in here that I will play. I'll mute the main reverb just so you can hear that stuff going on. So here is a delay throw. I believe this is a delay throw.
I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me
Yeah, you hear that delay throw in there, how it's just that little echo.
I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause
So hear how that delay throw helps kind of bridge that gap. So here's without that delay throw.
I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning.
So you hear how it just feels like an awkward pause right there right before he comes in and says "cuz." That delay throw makes it feel so much less awkward and sounds so cool when the song's playing.
I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you.
I think I'll unmute the instrumental just so you can hear what that sounds like with the guitar, drums, and the vocals.
I guess this must be the ending.
I'll bring it back so you can get the vibe a little bit more. Start at the beginning here.
Reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done?
So I don't know if you have good headphones or if you're listening on laptop speakers, but you should have heard that little echo, and it just helps kind of bridge that gap. And I did that in a couple other places in the song. So there's one right here.
Me used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me, you're the necessity, full court press on me.
And then there's another one right here.
Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around.
Then I got a couple more kind of going down the line. And again, this was just about just putting the audio clips or snippets of the lead vocal onto a track and then altering it with loads of delay, EQ, saturation, whatever I thought it needed to give it the sound I was going after. And this is kind of it's a creative area that's really fun. This part's actually really fun to me when I'm mixing because I can kind of just go wild with it. With everything else, I have to be real technical and be careful because if I overcompress it, then it takes away the dynamics and sounds overcompressed, and the performance can suffer from that. But with this, it really is kind of like just go wild with it. Just have a delay that echoes a ridiculous amount of time, but then just have it just fade out in the sections that you want it to fade out. And it's just about just being fun and creative and just playing around with your plugins. You can really just go nuts here. And anything that you don't like, it's an audio clip. It's not like a plugin where you're confined to the plugins and all that. This is an audio clip that has the effect in it, so you can move it around, adjust it, reverse it, flip it, do whatever you want with it. Make it into a sample that you use in another beat later on, however you want to work it. Just really cool idea for if you're trying to get your vocals to kind of sound like it's in a big space. You can do a little reverb and delay throws. So I'll mute those for right now. And then that was pretty much it. I had the feeling of the track that I wanted. It was just about getting the volume and everything just to hit how I wanted it. So I'll go ahead and play all of the lead vocal with the effects. And also, one more thing I forgot to mention, I have a couple delays going on here just to kind of help support the lead vocal a little bit. I'll play the lead vocal and then I'll unmute this delay send I have so you can hear all the delays kind of kick in at once.
The ceiling, I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me, you're the necessity, full court press on me.
See here how that kind of just has like a very, very, very small amount of delay on it. Just to kind of give it a little bit more of an echo and kind of put it in a space. You can almost just use that delay instead of using any type of reverb, but I chose to do it a different way. So I'm going to try to wrap this video up in the next 30 minutes. Got a session in the morning I got to get ready for, try to catch some Z's. And also I got to prep the session, get ready. So I will play the verse with the drums and the effects that I came up with.
We reached the ceiling, I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me, you're the necessity, full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Such a risk, but I'm gonna take a chance. How it feels to have my heart in your hands. Gotta learn how to let someone take hold. It takes time, gotta trust who's in control. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. I feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity, full court press on me. So how you gonna throw it away? How you make it hard to explain? How you gonna throw it away? How you gonna, how you gonna, how you gonna throw it away? Say my love is not the same, but how you gonna throw it away? How you gonna, how don't you fuck gonna, me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Don't let me down, don't let me down, let me down.
So cool. That is how the lead vocal sounds with all of my processing. Pretty simple. Not going to get into the background vocals. It's a whole nother discussion for that. But basically, I have everything routed to subgroups. I have a de-esser. I'm using the max volume 2 plugin on both tracks. And then I'm using EQ on both of these tracks. I'm not sure if they're similar or not. They should be fairly similar. No, they're not. The EQs are different. On each track, I probably assume. Yep, and then that's the harmonies. So I group things by the harmonies by kind of their timbre, whether they're low, mids, or highs, or sopranos, or whatever. I try to group things in similar kind of subgroups um, to process them all similarly, kind of in the same way, but not really. I also will add uh, automation to get rid of places that I don't want. Um, Deep breath and things like that. I'll use gates because there's so many tracks here. I don't want to have to go through all of them. And the background vocals don't have to be ideally as tight as the lead vocal. They're kind of, background vocals. They're meant to kind of go in and out. But I won't talk about those or kind of go into the details. I'm just kind of just talking about my process and how I went through the processing and the routing. And then fairly minimal processing, another EQ kind of later on down in the chain just to process everything, make sure it's leveled. And then we get to all the other instruments that I will start kind of adding in so you can kind of see my thought processes. So this is where I was at with the song when I started adding other instruments and trying to decide what would be the best fit and what things would go where. I tried adding the vocals in, and this is where things got really kind of messy because I had to do a lot of just thinking on what I wanted to be the winner here. Because if I play this guitar, you'll hear, or this vocal sample, you'll hear it kind of competes with the original lead vocal, and I have this EQ on here to kind of compensate for that, but it's not doing enough, in my opinion.
We reached the ceiling.
And also, it's sidechained to the lead vocal, so it only ducks these frequencies when it needs to. So like right here in the chorus, it'll probably make a bigger difference.
Down. You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me.
So it's side chaining there. Now the other thing is there is a vocal sample in here that I ultimately just took out because I couldn't make it work. It was just clashing too much, and this is that vocal sample.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me?
And I mean, it was cool. I just wasn't really digging it. I ultimately took it out for the mix. But I'll play it for this session so you can just hear it.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me?
So it just really didn't vibe with me. I didn't like it, so I left it out. It just sounded better without it.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the ending.
Like, yeah, with the guitar and that vocal just right there, it sounds more emotional than having this little vocal sample in here.
We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from.
Like that vocal sample just totally pulled away from his performance, so I really just didn't like it. I just took it out, and that was my move as a mix engineer, kind of as a producer too. And I sent it over to Myles, and I don't think he noticed. He sure didn't say anything. He might watch this video and bring it up to me later and say, "Hey man, go ahead and put that back in. I wanted it in there." But having never known that it was not in there, I might argue with him on that one. But anywho, I took it out, didn't like it. Going down, once I kind of had the other stuff kind of together, or the vocal samples together, um, I started looking at some of my other percussive instruments. Um, I took the clap out because I didn't like the clap and the build up to the chorus section. So I will play the build up to the chorus with the clap in it so you can hear it, and then I'll take it out so you can hear the difference.
You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down.
So the clap is cool. It's just it didn't feel quite right, so I took it out to see, and it sounded way better in my opinion. So here's without the clap.
You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down.
It just sounded better without the clap, so I took the clap out. And then I had all the other kind of percussive stuff kind of in here, and it was cool, the little triangle, and then this little percussive thing that's not doing much, but it's subtly kind of in there. I'm not even going to bother with it. It's very subtle. It's more just like an extra layer to the snare that's already playing, but I have it so in the background that you don't even really hear it. And then my next move was the bass, which I usually start on the bass, but this song I did it kind of backwards. And on the bass, what I will do, because we're almost at the finish line here, I will get rid of the vocals just for a second. And I'll play just the beat so you can hear kind of the bass kind of more in depth. Well, no, I know what I wanted to do. I wanted to solo out the bass. So here's the bass just solo by itself with all of my processing. here is with no processing. Let me turn that up so you can actually hear what that sounds like with no processing. So it sounds a little bit more natural, right? And you're probably thinking like, wow, like, the original sounds like better, but I made those moves on purpose. Start with my favorite plugin, Max Volume 2. I wanted this bass to be less dynamic and more upfront, in your face, flat, because really bass to me doesn't have to be dynamic. There was so much percussive stuff in here. I felt like the bass would have conflicted a little bit with the dynamics. So here's with the Max Volume 2 plugin enabled. So it's pushing all of the natural kind of picking and movement on the frets of the bass that I kind of liked. I wanted to hear that a little bit more. I want it to sound like a live bass. I don't want it to sound like a sample. And then we get to shaper box, which what's happening here is this is being sidechained by the kick. And so I will kind of go through the process here. We'll go to settings. So here, basically, I'm having my bass guitar lower in volume every time the kick comes in, and this is known as side chaining the bass, or doing a kick side chain to the bass. And here's what that sounds like. So I kind of pushed it up a little bit more just because as I'm looking at it, it's not quite how I want it. But what it's doing is ducking that bass every time the kick comes in. And so if I play the kick together with that bass, you'll really hear and see what I'm talking about. So it's ducking the bass. Now, I kind of didn't like this effect, but one of the things that I've learned with, uh, like when you submit a mix to a client, a lot of times if you try to go in and start making those like little detailed fixes, it somehow changes the sound, and then when you send them a master or another mix, they hit you with, oh, it doesn't sound the same, something's off. And they sometimes can't tell you what sounds off, or they're not very descriptive about it. So they can't tell you like, oh yeah, like, in mix 3, like the bass sounded like it wasn't ducking as much. I don't know, like mix 4 sounds like there's like a compressor on the bass. See if something like that is going on. Usually they just hit you with it sounds weird. It sounded better in mix 3. Just go back to version mix 3 or however you do it and just make the adjustments and send it to me. And sometimes I've had to do that before, where they ask me to make changes, and through the series of small little changes, they tell me that they like the way that Mix 2 or Mix 3 sounded. And so let's go back to that version and figure it out, which sometimes can be great because if that's the version that they like and that's the sound that they're trying to achieve through the process of trying to get to that sound, um, you know, let me try to say this a simpler way. As you're mixing a song and you're adding plugins, you become more and more familiar with the song and what you do and don't like about it and things that you've added throughout the process. So when you have to go back on an older mix, it kind of you can kind of get to the end result quicker because you're not really experimenting as much. You're more, oh, okay, I remember I used this plugin and it worked. As opposed to, let me try this plugin. No, let me try this plugin. Let me try this plugin. Oh, this one kind of sounds like what I'm looking for. Let me try to find more plugins to achieve the sound I'm looking for. Um, and again, as opposed to you just, having worked on the session for however many hours, and then you go back to the previous mix and you're like, well, I know I want to add this compressor, I want to add this EQ, yada yada yada. So that can sometimes be a blessing and a curse. I think for this session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bypass this shaper box because I'm just not feeling it. Just really not. The next move that I made in the chain was the saturation filter, and I have it set to hard clip. Drive is set at about 4 or 5 dB, 4.9 dB, and then I have the output turned down to compensate for that volume boost. So here's going to be the bass here's the bass and the kick. Well, actually, let me just play just the bass. Here's the bass with without the saturation filter. And now here's with the saturation filter. Really makes it sound like a rich, lush um, uh, bass. It's got that harmonic quality. And then I wanted to boost some of the lows because I just felt like it wasn't giving me that 808 rumble that I want. And so I really had to add some subharmonics to this using the subharmonic plugin that comes with Pro Tools. My first time using it, so I don't think I used it correctly. So I did the best I could, and I think I got the sound I was looking for, but I'll have to experiment with this plugin a little bit more. But ultimately, what you do is you kind of tell it what your input is, and it determines what the harmonic bass frequency should be. And you can also set it to different drive options and then adjust that to give it more bite. And then you can adjust the mix to dial, that in. Um, I don't know. It 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 worked, but I don't think I used it correctly. It just didn't feel like it was that, plug in for me. Anywho, here is without, and then I will turn it on halfway through. Like, you see what I mean? I don't know if you heard that change, but it kind of adds this. It adds more bass to it, but it just kind of adds it's almost like it's adding an extra note to the bass guitar versus adding subharmonics. Anywho, I rolled with that and just kind of used it. It worked. Um, then I followed up with a EQ, doing some crazy stuff here, boosting at 117, cutting at around 1.8 kilohertz, rolling off everything above 8,000. So let's hear how that sounds before, and then I'll bypass it halfway through. So I have this EQ move right here that's taming some of those picks and that high end that I was getting from all the saturation and the volume adjustments. And then I have a boost because I wanted more bass. I just really wanted the bass to be more bassy. Um, so I just boosted that a little bit, and then I cut out anything that I didn't want. So everything below 20 hertz, I just did kind of a roll off. Just didn't want to hear it. And so now let's do a before and after on this bass. And I'll get rid of the volume adjustments here. So here is before, or no, here is, yeah, here's before any plugins. And now here is with all my plugins and processing. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this automation. And so that was my processing for my bass. And I did that in context. Would switch the instrumental and the kick and the snare kind of on and off and play around with different instruments together to see kind of how they interact. With the bass, I typically play the bass and the drums together, and then I take the drums out and then see how it sounds with everything else. So here's how the drums and bass sounds, and I'll kind of do a mix on that. Tight, and then like I said, I'll take the drums out and then add my other stuff to see how it blends and meshes. So it's cool. The volume's fine. It works. Last was the sound effects. No processing, just did volume adjustments to make sure everything was where it needed to be. This is what all those sound like pretty much together with the instrumental. Oh, I see what happened here. I accidentally made an error. My apologies. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Yeah, I accidentally bypassed a lot of plugins, and so things are kind of not quite how they sounded normally. Yeah. So we're going to do this a fast way. because it looks like it just basically selected everything. So I typically set my plugins a very specific way because I've done this in the past where when I just don't want to plug in at all, I make it inactive. That way, if I accidentally try to bypass it or unbypass it, it just never comes into the equation. But I'll have all my tracks selected. And for those of you who have Pro Tools on a Mac computer, if you press Shift 2, that is your quick command to quickly unbypass all of your plugins within the commands within the insert slots A through, let's see, B, C, D, E. So I'll hit Shift 2 and you'll see all of my plugins will automatically unbypass. So 1, 2, 3, Shift 2, and boom, just like that. And then Shift 3 will do all of the next series of plugin inserts. Now, sometimes I make a mistake and there's something that's bypassed that um, gets unbypassed. So I sometimes do like a quick little scroll through just to kind of see how things look. And it looks fine. So we'll continue. So I'm going to play the track again and kind of hopefully this won't sound too crazy. So here is the track with, let's do this. Let's do just the bass and drums again to see how that sounds. So cool, works with the drums, and then like I said, I just add all the other instruments to see if the bass is fitting nice and tight with those. Bet. And next, we'll go back to the kind of the raw version that I had. That to me is kind of the main part of the song. So just the guitar and the drums and the vocals with the effects.
I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach.
So cool, that sounds good. And then I'll add the bass to see how it all kind of fits. And it should just feel just right. Shouldn't sound weird.
I had a feeling. What you had me say. We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end. Cause you got me.
So it felt like the bass was too loud with just the instrumental playing by itself. It um, didn't feel wrong, but I had once adding the vocals, it felt like the bass was kind of competing a little bit too much. So I turned it down. Maybe turn it up a little bit more.
What you had me say. We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end.
Yeah, so now the bass is kind of sitting in a nice place. And that's pretty much everything. So now what I'm going to do is collapse my folders so that way it'll make it a little bit easier to see everything. And again, I won't do the background vocals, so I'll just kind of leave those off to the side. But I'll jump to my mix window here so you can kind of see how I like to work once I get to a final point with my editing. I'll just work off my mix window and just play the song, move things up and down, play with different sends. And this is my favorite part of mixing too, just experimenting with the different levels, doing automation and things like that. So I will play my mix from the beginning to the end and just kind of go through it. Here, actually, I know the best part I'll talk about. So my favorite part is the last chorus where he kind of adds that second lead vocal. And it's really just energetic and hype, and it adds to that emotion of the last song or the last chorus. So I will play the song from the last chorus, and I will check I'll go to my mix window. I will check my limiter, and I'll check my compressor. And basically what I want to do is make sure that these aren't doing too much and just enough to get me to where I want.
Fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. Tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Maybe I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Don't let me down, don't let me down.
Okay, tight. It sounds pretty cool. That's like the loudest part of this song, and it's not doing too much compression, so I know everything else is going to be good. I might go through it one time and watch my meters just to make sure, but ultimately, that's kind of like a mastering thing. I'm just trying to get it up to the volume that I want it. And my favorite combo is doing just a SSL and a limiter. That's like a pretty simple way to get to the sound I'm looking for. So again, I'll play it from the beginning of the song and just kind of vibe out, just see kind of how I want to move things around and decide, what needs to be moved, if anything.
I don't mean to get out of place. Don't you see that look on my face? To think I let this go to waste. Thought you had me say we reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Such a risk, but I'm gonna take a chance. How it feels to have my heart in your hands. Gotta learn how to let someone take hold. It takes time, gotta trust who's in control. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. I feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity, full court press on me. So how you gonna throw it away? How you make it hard to explain? How you gonna throw it away? How you gonna throw it away? Say my love is not the same, but how you gonna throw it away? Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. Tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Maybe I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Don't let me down, don't let me down, let me down. Don't fuck me up, don't fuck me up.
So I'm gonna listen to it again, just kind of catch a vibe and see if I can kind of come up with some other ideas with reverb, delays, and effects and things. Also, I create markers, and the way the marker system works is if you have a keypad that has a new, whatever you call this, numeric keypad, like the numbers on the right, that look like, um, the square or whatever. If you press period and then press the number of the marker. So, for example, if I want to move to hook number 1, I would press period 3 period. So period 3 period, and it moves to that location. And the way I do almost all of my sessions is it's in order from beginning to end. So point 1 is always the intro, the beginning, the very top of the song, unless there's like some reason that it wouldn't be. And then 2 is like the intro or the beginning where the verse like starts, or the first part of the word, just so I can get to like that point. And then the third one is usually the whatever that section is, whether it starts with a verse or a chorus or whatever, and then a hook, etc., etc. And so that way I can quickly just kind of move through the session as I'm mixing the song. So let's say I get to the end of the song and I want to listen to it again, but I don't want to go all the way back to the beginning, and I don't want to have to go back to my edit window. I can quickly kind of just move around. So I'll show you kind of an example of that. I'll play the song again and I'll mix it, and what I'll do is just kind of jump around in between sections just to kind of see how my effects overall affect the sound throughout different sections.
Reach the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. You know I wanna be around. You're tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. 'Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. Reach the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end. 'Cause you down, throw it away. You know I wanna be around. You tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. 'Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. Reach the ceiling, reach the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. Down, throw it away. You know I wanna be around. You tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be risk, but I'm gonna take a chance. How it feels to have my heart in your hands. Gotta learn how to let someone take hold. It takes time, gotta trust who's in control. 'Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. I feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. So how you gonna throw it away? How you make it hard to explain? How you gonna throw it away? How you gonna throw it away? Say my love is not the same, but how you gonna throw it away? Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Throw it away. You know I wanna be around. Tugging war with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. 'Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Don't let me down, don't let me down, let me down.
cool. And that's pretty much how I went about mixing and mastering this song. Um, I hope y'all enjoyed watching this. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And yeah, keep on making music, guys. It's a lot of fun. I think I'll play it one more time. One more time from the beginning, just to catch a vibe. So here is everything from the beginning to the end.
I don't mean to get out of place. Don't you see that look on my face? To think that like this go to waste. Thought you had me sad. We reached the ceiling. I had a feeling from the beginning. I guess this must be the end. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. Feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. You know I wanna be around. You're tugging warring with my heart. Didn't think it'd ever be so hard. Crazy, I'm letting down my guard. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Cause if it's love, I wanna drown. I need to hear it from your mouth. Can't wait no longer, tell me now. Don't fuck me up, don't let me down. Such a risk, but I'm gonna take a chance. How it feels to have my heart in your hands. Gotta learn how to let someone take hold. It takes time, gotta trust who's in control. Cause you got me questioning, what have you done to me? Used to be out of reach. I feel like you're testing me. You're the necessity. Full court press on me. So how you gonna throw it away? How you make it hard to explain?